when I was on my vacation and actually brought some back in my car. So we'll get that when we come back.
Call back in a couple minutes, okay?
Keep it where you got it. More Motor Mouth Radio to come.
Well, in North Carolina, way back in the hills, left my old pappy and he had him still. He brewed white lightning till the sun went down. Then he filled him a jug and he passed it around. Mighty, mighty pleasing, your pappy's corn squeezing. White lightning.
Hi, I'm Rob Leonard. Join me for the Free-For-All every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The Free-For-All is a free-form mix of rock and roll. If you remember, rock radio used to mix it up, but now they just play Hotel California every 18 hours. It's not a law, but they're working on it. So join me for the Free-For-All every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Replays every Saturday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, streaming at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Sunday! Searching for a place where he made his brew. They were looking, trying to book him, but my pappy kept on cooking. White lightning.
I think this board had some white lightning because I'm pushing the button and the thing isn't playing. So we're just totally on the fly today.
I saw
Joe.
you knock that thing over there.
I know.
Okay.
Let's knock this thing over. The flashy thing was flashing.
It was still flashing.
Let's see who's on the line. We'll say, hi, you're out the Motor Mouths.
Hey, it's Mikey from LT. Welcome back.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey.
Good to hear from you. What's happening?
Nothing. The guy was talking about a 55 Buick. You know, those 364 nail-valve Buicks, they were quick. You know, that particular car, held the 0 to 60 record for probably about 10, 12 years.
Did not know
American
that.
automobiles, yeah.
Really?
Wow.
That's right. And I tell you what, later on, the 401s, they were quick. I had a friend of my brother's, my older brother, had a 59 Buick. Well, this is going back into the late 60s. He had a 59 Buick Invicta, which, you know, they made 3 models, the Deuce and a Quarter. The Invicta was the baby one.
Right.
The guy chopped out the X-member, and he had turned around and stuck, at that time, a Muncie transmission behind the Buick because the dynaflows were blown apart. And he had an all-out 401 with dual quads. It was bored. And they had Mondello had done the heads, in fact. And that particular Buick ran a best. I think it ran a best at that time. We're talking 1967, 68. I think it ran a best of about 1161, 1165.
Wow. That's impressive.
And it was a convertible.
Oh, jeez.
They had cut the X-member out. They had a Ford 9-inch rear, an old 57 Olds rear in it. They took the torque tube out. And in fact, the thing was punched 30 over, which I think was a max. Even you remember those ribs with the R2 motors? They were quick.
Yeah.
Quads.
Yeah.
That is impressive. That thing's a friggin' freight train.
Well, who had?
I remember as a kid going up to Jack Merkel's garage. Jack Merkel Racing Engines was in my neighborhood in Ridgewood.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was a lot of guys up there with 364 nailed-out Buicks with trips on them, injectors and gases and everything else.
Yeah. It was I think it was Oldsmobile had the J2. Is that correct?
Yeah, J2. My brother had a J2. He bought from somebody. They had put the rings in upside down, and the thing, when you stood on it, could freaking smoke out the block and kill all the mosquitoes in a 5-mile radius.
Yeah.
They always had the J2. They had some balls.
Yeah.
But listen. As we got into the 60s, cars started getting lighter, motors started getting bigger. My cousin had one of the original 427 mystery motors, which was between a 427 and a 409.
Right.
And they had bought that motor. It came from Junior Johnson.
Wow.
And they had sold it to Jack because Jack Merkel came from neighbor. They sold it to Jack Merkel's cousin. Bought that motor.
Talk about white lightning.
Oh, let me tell you, I still to this day remember the sound of that thing through the factory headers.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome.
Cool. That's
nice. It's good to have you back, buddy.
Thanks, Mike. Good to hear from you, and keep in touch.
Ciao.
All right,
cool,
bye-bye.
man.
Always good to hear from our buddies. From Mike.
That's some great stuff. I mean, that's stuff that I haven't thought about in years, but geez. Yeah. The Buick Invicta. I mean, that whole older engine series, the nailheads. They're kind of like forgotten now almost, but they were no joke.
Yeah, in the day, yeah. It's, everything, like when the small block Chevy hit, of course, obviously there's milestones in automotive history, that being one of them, and the small block being another, flathead being another, overhead valve, that was big technology back then.
Sure. I mean, it's amazing that they got something that big in a convertible.
Yeah.
Without the X-Member.
Well, of course, cut out the X-Member, which is the structural support for the losing the roof.
If I'm not mistaken, the Invicta had some pretty big tail fins too, like almost like the '59 Impala kind of.
Yeah, those cars are pretty big.
I could just see that Aerodynamics, but
flexing down the road.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like porpoising. Yeah.
Speaking of Aerodynamics, I don't know if our buddy Vince is listening. He was texting me. I got to get in touch with him. He's a truck driver, and I noticed. You look at the different rigs. I was around trucks all week wherever I went, and one of the things I noticed was, of course, the cabs have changed, the rigs have changed, but on the back box of some of these rigs, what I saw was, there's just two doors that end flat.
Right.
And I was explaining to Linda, one of the things we were talking about on the way back was aerodynamics. I gave her a whole aerodynamics lesson about how air comes around and curls, and so that's why when NASCAR guys draft each other, they're actually in that vortex being pulled.
Right.
And they do the slingshot thing, and actually the front guy slows down, blah, blah, blah. I said, same thing. If we got behind one of those trucks and tucked in, he'd pull us.
Right.
I said, if you're in a certain range behind it, you get all the dirty air that's coming around and swirling. And then if you go far enough back, you're away from it. So what this guy, a couple of these guys had were these big doors. The back doors of the box were closed, but they were flaps on the sides of the truck, and then one on the top and one on the bottom. They're kind of closed in like at a 45. And I know it had to have something to do with air current, but I didn't see it on all the rigs. I only saw it on a few.
Some type of spoiler setup type thing. Yeah, kind of to break up the vortices.
Exactly. I want to see if Vince can shed some light on that. Because
I mean, those things, if you could pick up a mile to the gallon or something like that.
That's what I told her. I said, if you get one MPG over the miles they do,
that's a couple $300.
You definitely saving money. Well, diesel down there was only like $3 a gallon, and change. So, so that was. But then again, I mean, to them that's significant. To us, the price of gas, $2.55 a gallon, was cheap. Wow. To me, but.
We get used to some inflated prices up here, because it's the overhead, it's the cost of the land and all that kind of stuff.
Well, as I explained to a few people down there, it's the taxation. I said, we are taxed to death, and then we're taxed some more, and then we're taxed when we die.
Right.
They get
us. That's a Beatles song, I think, right, Rob?
Yeah, the tax man, right. So, when I was talking to a few people, really real conversations, and we talked about nuts and bolts of things, and we got talking about, property tax down there is a couple $100, maybe $1,200 if you have a big spread. I told them what
South
I'm paying.
40 and all that, yeah.
I told this woman what we're paying for tax in Nassau County, and she just looked at me. It was like the people when I was buying the smokes, they looked at me, they had that look on their face like, huh? She looked at me and said, you pay what? And I told her, she goes, that's absurd. She goes, we're paying like 6 times yearly what they're paying for property tax or more. And, way more than 6 times. What am I saying? It's probably like 8. Yeah. So when you compare like that, you really can't because it's just there's such a big disparity. But there is something else I want to bring up. Our tech guy, our social media guru, our guy in the clouds. We were talking before I left about, and this went out on Twitter, the 5 best car movies.
Yes.
This has been beaten to death in magazines all over the place. But we're going to put this up on probably Facebook and maybe on the website. We're going to make a list of maybe the 5 or 10 or 15 best car movies. So I need people to weigh in on that, and we're going to add it to the list in real time as it happens. So we'll...
because we all have those movies that are car related that stick in your head. Sometimes it's not necessarily centered around the car. It might be a scene containing a car.
Right.
You know what I mean? So bring it on by all means.
Yeah, we'll play with that and some of them were of course, we were talking about Tulane, one of my favorites. But let's go
to the phones.
Back to this thing and say hi. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, Mikey from LT again. I got something. How about this one? Tulane Blacktop, Hot Rods to Hell, and the California Kid.
Those were actually 3 of my picks, Mike. Very good. and like I explained to him, some of these movies were, not always like Crazy Mary, Dirty Larry, or Dirty Mary, Crazy. I said, they drive a Charger, they're evading the law. They actually die at the end in a ball of flame.
That was a Peter Fonda stinker. Oh,
yeah.
Put it in polish. Yeah, oh God.
Yeah, but that's good. So we'll add those to the list, Mike. Thanks for playing.
You got it.
All right, bye-bye. That's exactly the kind of stuff we're talking about, movies like that. And because of that, our tech guy started looking into two-lane blacktop, which he hadn't been familiar with. And, of course, I sent him a picture of the die-cast model I have of the 55 Chevy.
Oh, yeah,
and I bought the collector's DVD set, because that's one of my favorite movies in the world,
Of course.
But who wouldn't like a 55 Chevy with plexiglass windows and an M22 behind a big block? Come on.
What's not to like?
What's not to like is right.
Yeah, seriously.
So, good stuff. So, we'll follow up with that. And
because there's tons of them, and like I said, they're always. Sometimes it's just a scene. You know what I mean? And let's throw some of those in too.
And a lot of them, I was explaining to him, just like Easy Rider, which was that's always the pre-ultimate biker classic movie. But the stars of the movie, they get killed, they die. So, but yet the movie is considered a classic because it was really, I said a lot of these there's a lot of sad stories and a lot of really bad stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Yet it's like in Bullet. I mean, obviously bad guys die, the good guy doesn't. Steve McQueen lives. That always clicks number one. Yeah, the poor Charger, which was a new car at the time.
Let's see. It was. Let's see. We have From the Sky. Has Vanishing Point made it to the list?
Absolutely, Vanishing Point.
Yeah.
And I stand on this. I say. We talked about this last night. I said if it's going to be Vanishing Point, yes, we got to talk about the original movies because I think they did. There was one
about in like the 90s too.
Yeah,
which ain't that bad.
I didn't see that.
It's not that bad, but the original. Oh my God!
But I go with, of course. Let me think.
Barry Newman.
Barry Newman, right?
Yeah.
And Super Soul was the DJ. Chris was a big fan of Super Soul.
Oh hell yeah! I mean,
the blind DJ,
the music, and well, there's a lot of stuff that we shouldn't talk about on the radio that was good about that.
But Gone in 60 Seconds. Got to be the original, not the Nick Cage remake. Let's go back to the phones and say hi. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hello, Professor Ray. Hello, Joey D. This is Howie. How are you?
It's the big man. Good, Howie. What's happening?
What's happening, man? We're having a clear sky here, beautiful at Sagamore Hill. We're here with the Buick guys.
What is this, weather
having
mouth?
A tour and having lunch.
Oh, good. So it's food mouth.
Okay. Lunch is good, yeah.
Good. Yeah, man, and they do pretty good. Mark, the activities director, is doing a great job. Marty, the president, is here with me, and we're doing a field trip. Like you used to do in high school, a field trip.
Is that like a field car?
A field trip.
That's
with
American
the Buick
Graffiti,
guys.
another classic.
Right.
Howie, what's your favorite all-time car movie?
Oh, probably would be Bullet.
Bullet. Okay, that always makes number one on the list.
Yeah,
what about number two? What other ones round out your top lists of like top three?
It was an old one, I think with Sylvester Stallone. You remember that one?
Cobra?
Yeah, older one. I think it was in the 70s, 80s.
No, Cobra was in the 80s where he drove a chopped 50s Merc.
Yeah, that fat fender thing. Yeah,
that was cool. Okay.
I usually play Bullet really loud, and I upset the girls that I live with.
Well, if you can't do it playing Bullet, playing Bullet loud.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
What
just that one scene where the Mustang shifts like 800 times through glass packs. Of course, he gets
800. Absolutely, I think it's 1,000 times.
And of course, he actually gets to leave rubber on dirt, which is pretty cool. I always wondered how he managed that one, but yeah.
Obviously, the sound effects guys don't drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
No, we were taking it easy here. I brought my Buick out. Got up early, put some gas in it, washed it, and got to meet with the old Sears in Hicksville. And then we took the nature trail to Oyster Bay.
Very cool.
Cool.
I got a wild one, boy. Our friend Billy just weighed in with Shaft's Big Score. He says that's got a lot of cool cars, and they would be 70s pimpmobiles, I'd imagine.
Right.
Lincolns with bug-eye lights, Rolls-Royce grills.
Nothing like a classic car cruise, I'll tell you that.
You're right.
I did go to Belmore last Friday, and I did see Jim.
Okay.
The other, premier correspondent, and I did see my friend Lowe with his 68 Buick Skylark Custom.
Very nice.
His was really a custom. He had a flat screen that came up in the back seat. It's a convertible. It was burgundy and tan. Beautiful. Had the see-through, like the Corvette see-through hood.
That's a custom, all right, yeah.
And it was a beautiful car. Nicely done.
Okay, very good. Very cool.
No, but that's about it. I just wanted to give you a call, say hello.
All right. Thanks for the update, Howie.
Right.
don't get wet out there.
No, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
We'll try not to.
Be well.
All right. So long.
Okay.
That was the big man.
Yes. Shaft's big score supposedly was filmed in College Point. I have on
No fooling.
Eye in the Sky Authority over here.
Gee, that's pretty
and,
cool.
My boy Mike just weighed in with Vanishing Point.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's a biggie for everybody.
All right. Well,
Me
we're going